Okay, we are ready to start. Ready to start. So let's take our positions. Those who are still outside, please, let's take our positions so that our honorable ministers can come in and take their place. Let everybody settle down. Thank you very much for creating time for this great occasion. I believe those that are outside at the door, you walk in so that room for the ministers to come in. Let's put our hands together for the representative of the Executive Secretary, IGAD, Madam Lucy, our head of mission here in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, allow me to welcome Esther Baikol to now take us forward. Welcome, Esther.
Excellencies from the IGAD member states, deputy ministers here present, ambassadors here present, representation of our development partners here present, colleagues at IGAD, directors from the IGAD member states, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this ministerial meeting, which brings almost to a close our deliberations for the last 3 days, in which we tackled issues of land, climate change, and conflict. It is at this meeting today that we will declare what it is we are going to do as a region and how far that will take the IGAD region for the next 10 years. It is not my place today to give a speech, but simply to give the ordering of the events of the day. We will start with the opening session, in which remarks will be made. Then I will hand over to the IGAD chair to manage the rest of the program. but I may not get another chance to speak. So while holding this microphone, allow me to acknowledge my colleagues and teammates who have worked so hard over the last 6 months to put this event together and the events of this week. Allow me to recognize my IGAD colleagues. Kindly stand up for recognition if you're from IGAD. Kindly stand up for recognition. Each of us has done a different section of the task, and we really, really appreciate your contribution. May I ask my colleagues from, you're not my colleagues, my friends from IDLO, to please stand up. Thank you for all the work you've put into this. My colleagues from the International Land Coalition, ILC Africa, and the representation of SPAC here present. Allow me further to recognize our member states, our directors responsible for lands, who have been working to do research in country with the consultants that led us to a very fruitful conference. The directors from the IGAD member states, kindly stand up. Your Excellencies, it's a rare privilege to have directors working with the IGAD Secretariat to make something happen. Your directors are very committed to the issues land, and we appreciate them very much. At this juncture, allow me to Madam Lucy Daxbacher, who will give her remarks on behalf of the Executive Secretary of the IGAD Secretariat, Dr. Wokne Gebeyehu. Welcome.
Thank you so much, my distinguished sister, Council Esther Baikol. She's our very senior and top-notch expert on land governance in IGAD. So we are very, very honored to have her at the Secretariat, and she has really groomed a very powerful team which is able to support us on land governance in the region. Thank you, sister. Excellencies, the Honorable Ministers in charge of land, environment, climate change, and access to justice, I would like, as the IGAD Secretariat, again to repeat, to give honor to the Honorable Ministers here at the high table. I will mention names of 2 ministers, but I will also give honor to the ministers representing their different countries. I would like to recognize and welcome Her Excellency, Honorable Minister Mona Ali from the Republic of Sudan. Sudan is the IGAD chair. Most welcome, ma'am. I would also like to welcome the Honorable Minister in charge of lands, housing and urban development for the Republic of Uganda, my distinguished sister, Judith Nabakova. Most welcome, Honorable Minister. I would also like to welcome the Honorable Minister from the Republic of Sudan, who's here with us. You're welcome, sir. I would also like to welcome the Honorable Minister from the Federal Republic of Somalia. You're welcome, sir. I would also like to welcome the Honorable Minister from the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. You're welcome, sir. And I would like to welcome the Honorable Minister from the Republic of Djibouti, the host of IGAD Secretariat. We are very happy to see you, sir. On behalf of His Excellency, Dr. Workene Gebeyehu, I would like to warmly welcome all of you to this sectoral ministers meeting coming right after the high-level regional conference on land, climate change, and conflict in the East and the Horn of Africa, which has taken place here from 24th to 26th of October 2022 here in Munyonyo. At this point, I would also like to recognize and give honor to all of you who have been here the whole week with the Secretariat. Excellencies, ambassadors present, you're most welcome. Our development partners, we welcome you. All the directors of Land, Justice, Environment, and Climate Change, the Secretariat welcomes you. All high-level officials of government, distinguished experts of government, and all our partners, we welcome you and honor you. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency requests for your kind understanding. He is absent today because he is on a mission to launch a peace process for one of the very violent conflicts in our region. He is on mission, on duty, at the request of His Excellency, the AU Chairperson, His Excellency Mahamat. So we would like to inform you that he is present with us from afar by the representation of the IGAD Secretariat present in the room. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, this sectoral ministers meeting is the culmination of great work that we've done with our member states, our development partners, and implementing partners on land and climate change conflict transformation agenda. The work started with country assessments on land and climate change conflicts in our 7 member states, where our consultants worked with all of you. The consultants visited all the 7 IGAD member states. From the in-country work, we convened the high-level conference, followed by directors' meeting, and now we are here to endorse the work that has been done through a ministerial communique. Excellencies and honorable ministers, experts of IGAD member states and our partners, the objective of this ministerial meeting is twofold. It is to adopt an initial communique that will provide the basis for the establishment of an IGAD agenda that is addressing land-based resource conflicts in our region. Excuse me, and also issue recommendations for amendment of national land policies and action plans to better integrate conflict management in the governance of our land. The second objective, Excellencies and honorable ministers, to serve as a platform for building a regional network at the most senior policy and technical levels on land conflict and peace, sustainable development, and management of climate change. Our region needs prompt action and a full commitment by all of us and our governments in addressing land and climate change conflicts, so that we can have food security, peace and stability, growth and sustainable development. We refer to the detailed country-level assessments, the conference outcome document, and the director's reports. And these instruments address the following areas that will take us forward in our agenda on land governance. First, it's to strengthen access to land justice in the region. Secondly, to promote inclusive and gender-responsive land use and management. Strengthening land administration. Implementing IGAD Region's Women's Land Rights Agenda. And most importantly, to take forward the provisions of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, as well as the commitments of member states in the Convention on Climate Change, which includes, among other things, climate adaptation, climate financing, to mention but a few. Addressing these matters and IGAD member states' commitment to these matters will impact on the good work that you have already done with IGAD Secretariat. To date, you've already developed the National Land Policy Prototype, gender mainstreaming tools in land administration, and alternative dispute resolution systems, among others. And these are supporting our member states in improving the governance of land. You have also strengthened relationships with the respective ministries and agencies that has seen an increased uptake of the developed land frameworks. We now have increased development and implementing partners' interest in land governance in the region. Our partners are the reason that we succeed as government because they support us with technical assistance and financing. Lastly, this will help us in convening and hosting multi-stakeholder land dialogues, thus increasing learning and strengthening our capacities for land governance. Excellencies, honorable ministers, and our distinguished experts in the room, today's meeting will give fresh impetus and momentum to land governance in our region. The Secretariat is confident that the land and climate change transformation agenda from the just concluded conference will guide member states and partners' interventions in terms of continued cross-border regional collaboration, resource mobilization, and technical assistance from policy to community level. The IGAD Secretariat, and specifically His Excellency Dr. Workenege Beyehud, Executive Secretary of IGAD, would like to thank you again for giving us all the political support for this process on land and conflict transformation. The IGAD Secretariat and its member states, honorable ministers, distinguished experts, and delegates would also like to express gratitude to the government of Sweden for their technical and financing assistance, IGAD partners, International Development Law Organization who are in the room, the International Land Coalition, and the organization supporting pastoralism and agriculture in recurrent and protracted crises in our region. We thank these partners for consistently being with the IGAD Secretariat Land Governance Program and for hosting this very successful conference on land and conflict transformation in the East and the Horn of Africa. We look forward to your insightful deliberations and conclusions. The IGAD Secretariat is at its disposal to the honorable ministers for you to guide the Secretariat in any matters on this subject matter. And we wish you a very beautiful time and a joyful time at the beautiful city of Kampala by Lake Victoria. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Lucy, for those remarks. Excellencies, allow me to invite the Honorable Minister of Lands, Honorable Judith Nabakoba, to give her remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chairperson of the ministers' meeting, colleagues, ministers from IGAD member states, the executive secretary, IGAD, directors and all technocrats here today, IDLO, IGAD and other development partners. Good morning to you all. First of all, allow me to bring you greetings from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who knows that we are here and discussing important issues touching land in our region. I want to congratulate you upon the previous meeting days for the same conference. I know IGAD is such an important regional body, and I'm glad to be speaking here today on behalf of government, but also many Ugandans who rely on land and agriculture for their day-to-day needs. Over the years, we have come to realize that issues of food security, drought, climate change are no longer internal issues of any member state. They are regional, international issues because they affect us all. This conference has taken an even broader approach by looking at issues of peace, stability, and how they have a strong bearing on land management. I'm therefore glad that as ministers, we are meeting to make a joint commitment towards issues that affect us all. We know our region so well and the issues that affect us all. I therefore call upon my fellow ministers and technocrats to discuss openly so that we contribute towards the communique. This communique will provide the basis of our further engagements and commitments at state level towards the issues we have agreed upon in this meeting. I want to commend the active participation of the judiciaries, because the judiciary is such an important player in the land sector, because it normally acts as an arbitrator. Arbitrating land conflicts requires a robust and active judiciary to be able to decide in an objective and fair manner based on all facts. We therefore realize the need for a well-funded and robust judiciary system in the region that has the capacity to network and share lessons. We need also to explore alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. I remember during the opening ceremony, we were told that most of the cases that go to court, 25% of those cases are land cases, meaning that now we need to look for alternative ways of where some of the cases could be heard before even reaching courts of law. On the issue of climate, this is something that we all must be concerned about. Climate change is no longer an internal issue of any member state, but a matter of regional concern and international concern. I call upon members to take this matter seriously, and we adopt useful and practical commitments towards addressing the climate change challenges. We do realize that majority of our communities still rely on forests and traditional sources of fuel for their power needs. How can we support systems that promote renewable energy solutions at the local level, systems that are affordable and accessible by our communities? How can we encourage and educate our communities to utilize the available forestry system in a sustainable manner that address their day-to-day fuel needs, but guarantees our climate needs as well? How can we encourage our communities to adopt safer and more resilient farming systems like crop rotation that protect the quality of the land and secure food? Like our president always says, we need to warn our communities about the dangers that come with land fragmentation in their efforts towards improving their livelihoods. I'm looking at this meeting to lay the ground for a stronger and more active regional structure that routinely addresses the issues that have brought us here today. I once again thank you for God and my country, and I want to make this announcement that this evening at 7 p.m., you are all invited for dinner in this same venue. So you are all welcome. Let's come and share a light moment for God and my country. May God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your generosity. We will surely not have lunch today. Allow me to welcome the IGAD Chair to give her welcome remarks, her opening remarks, and also take over the management of the meeting. Thank you. Welcome, Madam Chair.
Thank you. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Dear Excellency Minister, dear IGAD Secretariat, dear Ambassador, dear Steering Committee member. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you and thanks for attending in this important meeting. Allow me at the outset to appreciate the effort made by IGAD Secretariat in and declaration for the high-level meeting on land and confidence. My thankfulness extends to the state of Uganda for hosting the meeting and for good reception and hospitality. And my thanks extend to the SDC, IDLO, ILC for supporting this important meeting for implementation this meeting. I think we need to activating the principle and foundation of IGAD, which was based that IGAD and strengthening its decision. We should keep the IGAD to play official role for environmental protection in IGAD state. At the end of my speech, I would like to say to IGAD state, we need to share our knowledge and exchange the experience in the field of land, in the field of environmental issue, and in the field of land and confidence. I think it is important for us. We need this issue for strength our state. Now, all of world work together. We need to share our experience and knowledge to find solution of our problem, like conflict, like climate change, and we must do our best to be in the right way. According to the protocol, I will be speaking Arabic, then the translation will be done in English and French. الآن نعمل على إجازة الأجندة. الوزراء presentation of report for the director meeting. Statement of minister, presentation of the عرض بيان إجازة مخرجات المؤتمر الإقليمي حول الأرض والنزاع. الختام. في أي إضافة؟ نمبر 1 عرض تقرير اجتماع الوزراء، كلمات الوزراء، عرض بيان وإجازة مخرجات المؤتمر الإقليمي حول الأرض والنزاع. الختام. أي إضافات أخرى؟ الآن nothing ما في شيء.
As we second the agenda.
Yes. Good. الآن نبدأ بكلمات الوزراء تفتتحها دولة جيبوتي. جيبوتي.
بسم الله الرحمن
Yes. Where is the report? They are going to read it. When? Who will be reading the report?
We wait for the report first.
اثيوبيا عرض تقرير اجتماع الوزراء يقدمه ممثل دولة اثيوبيا. A report. That's okay. Yes.
Environment and climate change, all government officials, distinguished experts, ladies and gentlemen. Here I am going to read for you the report of the chairperson of the meeting of the directors responsible for lands, directors responsible for environment, and directors responsible for justice in the IGAD member states. Meeting of the directors responsible for lands, directors responsible for environment, and directors responsible for justice in the IGAD member states. Introduction. The meeting of the directors responsible for lands, directors responsible for environment, and directors responsible for justice in the IGAD region was held on 27 October 2022 at Spec Resort Munyonyo in Kampala, Uganda. The meeting was attended by directors and representatives from the following IGAD member states: Republic of Djibouti, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Republic of Kenya, Federal Republic of Somalia, Republic of South Sudan, Republic of Sudan, and Republic of Uganda. The meeting was also attended by representatives of International Development Law Organization, IDLO, supporting pastoralism and agriculture in recurrent and protracted crisis, SPARC, and International Land Coalition, ILC. The meeting was chaired by the current IGAD chair, Republic of Sudan. The objective of the meeting was to consider and approve the IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation, in preparation of the ministerial meeting to be held on 28 October 2022. The IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation. The overall goal of the agenda is to have a gender-responsive and transformative plan for the member states on issues related to land use and management, climate change, climate to achieve an inclusive and sustainable development. The IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation has been formulated through a participatory multi-stakeholder approach with IGAD member states and key land and conflict resolution actors across the region. The process involved A, undertaking national assessments of the land and natural resource-based conflicts in each of IGAD member states. B, multi-stakeholder consultations at country level involving public sector in each member state, development partners such as IDLO, SPARC, and ILC, and civil society organizations. C, high-level regional conference on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa between 24th to 26 October 2022, which included a session of the chief Justice of the EAC region held on 25th October 2022. The key program areas of the agendas are prioritizing and promoting responsible, conflict-sensitive, and inclusive land and natural justice governance, and improving access to justice to all. Second, making the link between the fair and sustainable allocation, use, land, and natural resources, and peace, security in the Horn of Africa. Third, securing local land rights to support climate change adaptation and sustainable food systems. Fourth, realizing women's and girls' equal right to land. Discussion on the agenda of the ministerial meeting. The directors deliberated on the draft agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change and conflict transformation, and approved it for eventual presentation to the ministerial meeting for consideration and adoption. IGAD High-Level Regional Conference on Land and Conflict in the East and Horn of Africa Outcome Document. The IGAD High-Level Regional Conference on Land and Conflict in the East and Horn of Africa was held on 24th to 26 October 2022 at SPEC Resort, Kampala, Uganda. It was co-organized by the IGAD Land Governance Units, IDLO, SPARC, and ILC. The overall objective of the conference will be to enable high-level policymakers to exchange country and cross-country policy experiences and lessons learned with a view to establishing a regional agenda and national policy priorities that comprehensively respond to land conflicts. The key issues of the conference outcome document were used as inputs to formulate the main elements of the IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation outlined above. The director's recommendation to the ministers. The meeting of directors makes the following recommendation to this ministerial meeting. One, that the documents approved by the directors be considered and adopted by the member states. These are A, the IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation. B, the IGAD High-Level Regional Conference on Land and Conflict in the East and Horn of Africa Outcome Document. Second, that the ministers express their commitment to mainstream and translate the IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation into national and sectoral development frameworks in their respective member states. Third, that the ministers commit themselves to assist IGAD Secretariat in lobbying and mobilizing financial resources for the implementation of the agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation. Fourth, that recalling the heads of state and government commitments in the AU Declaration on land issues and challenges, the ministers advocate for the allocation of adequate budgetary resources for land policy development and implementation processes, including the monitoring of progress. Fifth, that the ministers commit to set up national platforms to periodically review progresses in implementing and mainstreaming the IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation. The AU Declaration on Land Issues and Challenges, particularly enhancing gender equality and equity in land governance. Sixth, that the ministers commit to promote the actions towards land use and management, conflict prevention and access to justice, women's effective and meaningful participation in land governance and dispute resolution, capacity development and knowledge management, climate change and natural resource management, and regional efforts as outlined agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change and conflict transformation. Conclusion, We now have the honor to present the detailed IGAD agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change and conflict transformation, and the IGAD high-level regional conference on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa outcome document, and the draft communique for your consideration and approval. Thank you very much.
الآن ننتقل إلى كلمات الدول أو يقدمها الوزراء أو من ينوب عنهم. الكلمة الآن لجمهورية جيبوتي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Maybe I will by respect to the official language, maybe I will shift to French language, not to this English, but Excellence, Madame la Ministre du Logement et de l'Aménagement du Territoire de la République de l'Ouganda, Excellence, Madame la Ministre de la Justice du Soudan et en charge de la présidence de l'IGAD, Excellence, Madame la représentante du secrétaire exécutif de l'IGAD, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres en charge du foncier, de l'environnement, changement climatique et de la justice des pays de la sous-région, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des partenaires au développement, honorables invités. Je voudrais tout d'abord exprimer ma gratitude et mes remerciements au nom de la délégation de Djibouti pour l'excellent accueil et hospitalité à notre arrivée dans la capitale de la perle de l'Afrique. La gestion du foncier est complexe et délicate, et plus particulièrement dans la région de la Corne de l'Afrique où elle est la source de tensions, de conflits et de tensions intercommunautaires et locales. Réfléchir et débattre de la question, c'est in fine promouvoir la paix et la stabilité dans la sous-région. Et nous tenons à féliciter l'IGAD et les organisateurs pour cette noble initiative. À Djibouti, le cadre juridique régissant la gestion foncière et l'attribution de concessions date de 1991, mais le système sur lequel ces normes ont été élaborées remonte à l'époque coloniale, d'où l'inadaptabilité de ce système avec les enjeux actuels de conservation, d'acquisition de droits fonciers, de protection de la biodiversité, de changement climatique. Dans le contexte de Djibouti, où l'État est propriétaire des terres immatriculées, l'acquisition se fait par le biais de concessions provisoires. Durant cette période, la parcelle reste immatriculée au nom de l'État jusqu'à la mise en valeur. C'est au terme de ce processus que la pleine propriété est accordée. Durant cette période de concession provisoire, les conflits sont multiples, les risques de conflits sont multiples, mais de moindre ampleur. Ce sont des conflits entre l'administration et le concessionnaire en raison de la non mise en valeur, des conflits entre le concessionnaire et les personnes munies d'autorisation d'occupation du sol, les conflits entre le droit coutumier et le droit positif moderne. Le gouvernement de Djibouti a cherché une voie alternative pour apporter une réponse rapide et efficace à la gestion des conflits avec la mise en place d'une commission de conciliation fiscale et de conciliation fiscale et foncière. Cette commission a pour objectif de rapprocher les positions des parties divergentes et avec la médiation trouver des solutions aux différends consignés par écrit. Il s'agit de la recherche de solutions amiables peu onéreuses. La négociation, la médiation et la conciliation sont des mesures alternatives au contentieux qui intervient en dernier ressort. Le processus de décentralisation engagé avec tout en privilégiant les solutions applicables dans le règlement des litiges fonciers et dans une approche de proximité. Par ailleurs, nous tenons à souligner avec insistance que conformément à la Constitution de Djibouti, la problématique du genre ne se pose pas car les femmes ont un accès égal au même titre que les hommes à la propriété sans aucune discrimination. Ceci étant, notre pays est disposé à apporter sa contribution en adoptant le présent communiqué. Et je ne saurais conclure mon intervention sans féliciter et remercier les organisateurs et tous ceux qui ont contribué à la réussite de cette réunion de haut niveau. Je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Ministers in charge of land, environment, climate change, access to justice, ambassadors, development partners present, directors of land, justice, environment, climate change, all government officials, distinguished experts, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, allow me to introduce and recognize the presence and participation of Ethiopian ambassador to Uganda, Her Excellency Alamzai Masarat. Here I am a delegate of His Excellency Professor Iyasu Elias, a State Minister, Ministry of Agriculture. Due to unforeseen circumstance, His Excellency Professor couldn't able to join this important event. Herewith I read his message. The Ethiopian government has taken several measures to improve the land governance in the country. It has taken important measures in the land titling and certification programs to ensure security of landholders and improve production and productivity. Under this program, millions of parcels of farmers have been registered and certified. The certification has brought many benefits for smallholders, particularly for women. They are enabled to access to credit, to lease the land without fear of being disposed, and to claim compensation during expropriation. Registration, however, couldn't increase productivity due to highly fragmented landholdings, and the government adopted cluster farming, which has brought about the effect of consolidation nowadays. Cluster farming has enabled smallholder farmers to use mechanized farming and access to market. Here we can mention the government effort to deal with climate change through the Green Legacy Program. For the last 4 years, as you know, the government of Ethiopia has planted billions of seedlings throughout the country. But still, there are major problems with regard to land disputes, such as landlessness, climate change, and others. So the government of Ethiopia is committed to collaborate and work closely with IGAD and international or other development partners to address the issues raised in the director's report. I would like to thanks again the IGAD Land Governance Unit, all partners that are supporting this land governance enhancement in the region. Thank you. very much.
شكرا الوزير الأثيوبي للعرض المفيد. الآن الكلمة لدى ممثل الحكومة الكينية.
Good morning, honorable ministers and all stakeholders represented here. I sent apologies from the minister in Kenya. The handover is taking place right now in Kenya because we have just under transition. But I'm happy to represent our country in this very special occasion. The Constitution of Kenya and Article 69 empowers the government, all the organs of the government, to ensure that the county and national government, in making its decision, ensures that there is sustainable exploitation of the environment as well as the natural resources to ensure the benefits of all the communities of Kenya. I'm sure you are all aware that this is a mandate which is not only placed in the national government, but it is also a responsibility that has been devolved to our governors in the county government. I'm very pleased because here we have had a very important discussion for the whole week. We have considered different ways in which policy issues can be decided and implemented by our state organs in a way which ensures that the three areas which are very important and interconnected are addressed. That is peace, economic development, and also the environment. At the center of this, we have ensured that in our government in Kenya, we consider all these issues, but for the benefit of the communities. I do realize that in every part of our region where IGAD is assisting us in different ways, that we have authentic challenges. But I also want to invite all of us to consider the fact that we also have very authentic opportunities. So as we talk about peace, one of the most important considerations is that we can move beyond resolving our conflicts and look at partnerships which can assist us to look at how we can actually use this to transform the conflicts. We have many opportunities. For example, we have shared natural resources, both in our different municipalities and counties, but we also have shared resources throughout the region. Now, I want to challenge each one of you as we live here, even our partners. How can we partner together to ensure that instead of having conflicts, we can create incentives which promote the well-being and create wealth from these resources? Because I am sure if people are in partnership and they are creating wealth together, they are less likely to fight. Another challenge I could invite you, because it's an issue which we are also dealing with in Kenya, is the different cultural paradigms which affect the way we look at peace. It has been discussed here many times, and it's part of the community, how we are going to build the capacities at different levels, from the way we educate even our school-going children, how they look at land, how the land officers look at land, and how our communities look at land. It doesn't have to be a cause of conflict, but it can be a cause of creating wealth and a cause of peace. Finally, there is the issue of dispute resolution. Our Chief Justice has already shared what we are doing in Kenya, and I would like to invite our development partners to partner with us in this area. How we resolve our dispute in Kenya, we have specialized environment and land courts, but we have also come up with a system where different stakeholders are discussing with the communities how we are going to be discussing and resolving conflicts, and we register those decisions both in court and with the National Land Commission so that we can make the technical resolutions and recommendations to the different stakeholders, including the surveyors and registrars of the Ministry of Land. Finally, I would like to thank each one of you for your participation. We have gained a lot. The team from Kenya, the directors whom I came with, and my chairman also managed to share in one of the sessions online. We are very grateful for the organizers, and I would hope that we can continue to partner together to continue creating peace in the region and also the development and the wealth for the benefit of the rights of the communities in our area. Thank you very much.
شكرا ممثلة الحكومة الكينية على هذه الكلمة الرائعة اللي وضحت فيها التحديات اللي بتواجه كينيا وتنسحب على كل دول الإيجاد، وقدمت كيف يكون الشركاء، الحلول تأتي من خلال الشركاء أصحاب المصلحة، الحوار، حتى يتسنى الوصول إلى حلول للمشكلات وإحقاق السلام. الآن ننتقل إلى جمهورية صوماليا. تفضل السيد الوزير.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you. Excellence, Director of IGAD and IGAD Secretariats, Excellence Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Somalia delegation, I extend my deep appreciation to the governments and the people of Uganda for the warm hospitality and the brotherly welcoming. I also thank IGAD and other co-organizers for the excellent arrangement of the conference. The conference comes at a time when Somalia, and indeed the Horn of Africa region, is facing serious climate emergency. We are in the midst of one of the worst drought situations following failure of 4 consecutive seasons of rain. Climate change related drought, intermittent floods, and desert locust infestation results in the loss of livestock and agricultural production, which account for more than 70% of country. Against this background, one of the first action His Excellency President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud talked about this re-election in midday this year was to create a federal Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. Somalia is a country of vast rangelands, pockets of cultivated agricultural land, and growing urban areas, which are governed by the diverse land tenures regimes that suffers significant distribution during the country's prolonged civil war. Article 26 of the new provisional federal constitution, approved in 2012, is meant to provide a framework for this new legal order. In terms of land tenure, the constitution states that every person has the right to own, use, enjoy, sell, and transfer property, and that property will not be expropriated, unreasonable, but the state may compulsory acquire property only if doing so is in the public interest. Any person who properly has been acquired in the name of the public interest has the right to just conventions from the state as agreed by the parties or decided by a court. Today, the legal framework, the Somalia's land tenure system is mixed of scholar, sharia, and customary hair law. This legal population has often provided a flexible structure that local actors have used to craft appropriate solution. But it has also left gray areas within which conflict beginning. Critical to these efforts will be finding means to smooth the interaction of three legal systems which govern different aspects of land ownership and use today, namely the neglected formal legal system, the customary hair system, and the Islamic system of Sharia law. There is a lack of detailed legislation, government, land uses, and ownership, and acquisition evictions are reported to be complacent in Somalia and difficult to identify which are eligible for convention. Those without legal title to land, including squatters and encroachers, are eligible for only limited protection under Somalia law and a policy, and Somalia law does not determine the compensation schedule and a cut-off date. In collaboration with all relevant stakeholders, it's essential to implement United Nations Convention on combating desertification, climate change, and biodiversity to carry out awareness raising and policy advocacy campaigns to address land degradation and desertification in the region. In Somalia's expensive rangelands were commonly ownership, predominance, strictness, traditional land management, practice, and harmonizing their interaction with a formal system would seem to be the best strategy for boosting productively and preventing conflict and overuse. In areas where the violence is ongoing, there are few options for interventions, aside from the documenting land-related aspect of the conflict. Throughout Somalia, empowering women to participate in decisions about land and building the capacity of the local actors will help ensure that intervention achieves sustainable, widespread benefits. Somalia is committed to multilateralism, and we therefore commit to support the outcome of this meeting and working with all partners to give better recognition to the issue of migration, environment, and climate change. I thank you all for your kind attention.
شكرا الوزير الصومالي لهذا العرض اللي وضح فيه تحديات القرن الأفريقي وليست هي تحديات صومال فقط. الآن الكلمة لدى جمهورية جنوب السودان. تفضل سيد الوزير.
Honorable Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Republic of Uganda. Honorable Minister, Ministry of Towns, Urbanism and Housing, Republic of Djibouti. Honorable Minister, Ministry of Justice, Republic of Sudan. Honorable ministers that their portfolios might not have been mentioned here and leading delegations, you are recognized, and the chairperson of this Crown Prince is also recognized. Representatives of international and regional organizations present here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. As an emerging country from various conflicts and natural disasters, South Sudan has been grappling with challenges of post-conflict rebuilding efforts, including land and land-based resources conflicts. Land disputes, conflicts over resources, insecurity, resettlement of IDPs and returnees, weak land governance structures, and persistent flooding have been identified as main challenges. The IGAD Land Governance Unit supported recently an assessment exercise on land and land-based resources conflicts in the member state countries. Land use institutions and stakeholders in the Republic of South Sudan validated the assessment report that was communicated to this regional conference on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa. The purpose of the assessment was to identify issues and how to improve land governance in the IGAD region through development of innovations in land administration, strengthening gender equality and land monitoring. The main objective of this assessment is to validate the body of available evidence to enable high-level policymakers to exchange country policy experiences and lessons learned with a view of establishing a regional agenda and national policy priorities that comprehensively respond to land conflicts. In the context of South Sudan, land and natural resources-based conflicts are paramount. Major identified land and land-related conflicts include: 1. Land-driven conflicts such as pastoralists versus farmers conflict. Land conflicts driven by climate change, that's floods and droughts. 3. Conflict over natural resources such as agricultural land, cattle raiding, pasture and water resources, and minerals mining. It is worth noting that the country has been hit by unprecedented flooding probably the worst in 60 years, that has been persistently occurring for the last 4 years in our country. These flooding have compounded conflicts over land and land-based resources. The progress in the implementation of the revitalized agreement for the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan is encouraging, though prospects for sustainable peace is still being expected by many people. The resulting relative peace has allowed us to make slow but steady efforts in mitigating land conflicts by improving on land governance through institutional reform, developing land legal frameworks, land management reforms, and capacity building. We are in full support of the recommendations of the directors' meeting that preceded the sectoral ministers' meeting we are holding today on the transformative agenda on land and conflict in the Eastern Horn of Africa. The communique we are going to sign today represents our shared regional agenda on land use and management, transformation and conflict management, with the set recommendations and a way forward. South Sudan applauds the IGAD Land Governance Program for initiating country assessments and sharing the updated body evidence that will contribute to solving shared land conflicts issues. Thank you all.
شكرا دولة جنوب السودان لهذا العرض اللي وضح فيه أسباب النزاع حول الأراضي والسبل المتبعة لحل هذا الإشكال. الآن مع كلمة جمهورية السودان. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. موضوع الصراع حول الأرض بنعزيه في جمهورية السودان العديد من الإشكالات متمثلة أولاً في التحول في استخدامات الأرض، تحول من نمط إلى آخر دون الرجوع إلى الجهات القانونية، بيترتب عليه كثير من الصراعات، يترتب عليه تدني وتدهور في الأراضي. مثال لذلك التحول من الغطاء الرعوي في مناطق هشة واستخدامها لإنتاج الزراعي، ده بيؤدي إلى هدر في الموارد، تلف التربة. التكدس أيضا يتحول المستخدمين من منطقة إلى أخرى، بالتالي يحصل نوع من التكدس في مساحات أو رقعات بسيطة، الموارد محدودة، ينشأ النزاع بين القطاعات المختلفة خاصة الرعاة ومع المزارعين. يترتب عليه كثير من الآثار البيئية السالبة، تتلف الموارد، تنتهي الموارد، تدني التربة، فقد المراعي، فقد المساحات المختلفة، إلى جانب الفقد في الأرواح نتيجة لهذه الصراعات. أيضا الإشكال الآخر اللي هو النطاق التعديني أو الاستخدام التعديني. هذا الاستخدام في السودان في أنماط للتعدين، نمط أهلي ونمط للشركات. أساسا المشكلة نتجت من التعدين الأهلي. التعدين الأهلي ترتب عليه كثير من المشكلات البيئية في السودان، اللي هي استخدام كثير من المواد المحرمة أو الممنوعة قانونيا، أدى إلى تلوث التربة، تلوث مصادر المياه، إصابة السكان بالكثير من الأمراض. حصل أيضا نزاعات بين المعدنين والأهالي القاطنين في مناطق التعدين. الإشكال أصبح كبير جدا، المشكلة أصبحت بيئية، مشكلة صحية، مشكلة بتاعت فقدان للموارد، مشاكل صحية، ضغوطات على الدولة في كثير من النواحي. التأثيرات البيئية الناتجة عن الصراع حول الأرض كبيرة جدا. الصراعات أتت نتيجة للتغيرات المناخية، يعني السودان بنعتبره من الدول الهشة في نطاقات كبيرة جدا، تقع في نطاق أساسا شبه صحراوي، نطاق صحراوي، مناطق الآيلة لأنها تصبح مناطق متصحرة نتيجة للتغيرات المناخية. التغيرات المناخية بتأثر على المجموعات الموجودة في هذه النطاقات، سواء كانت مجموعات زراعية، مجموعات رعوية، أو مجموعات بتعتمد على الغابات في الجمع والالتقاط، تصدير المحاصيل الغابية. طيب التغير المناخي بيؤدي إلى تضاؤل أو تدني الإنتاجية، بالتالي السكان حيتكدسوا في مناطق محددة، ينشأ الصراع. الحلول اللي بتتبعها الدولة في كثير من الأحيان هي حلول بنعتبرها تلجأ إلى الحلول المجموعات الأهلية أو الزعماء، اللي هي الإدارات الأهلية اللي هي في السودان عندنا لها مكان ولا وضع، وكثير من الإشكالات تعجز الدولة عن حلها بتلجأ إلى الإدارات الأهلية لحل هذه الإشكالات. الصراع حول الأرض في السودان أدى إلى النزوح من مناطق إلى أخرى. النزوح بيترتب عليه آثار اجتماعية، آثار بيئية، أيضا مشكلات الهجرة. النزوح بعتبرها من إقليم إلى إقليم داخل الدولة. أيضا الهجرات أدت إلى صراع وإشكال كبير في المناطق شرق السودان اللي هي المشاكل بتكون في دول الجوار. الحروب الأهلية أدى إلى نزوح عدد كبير جدا من دول الجوار، تحديدا من جمهورية أثيوبيا في نطاق سهول البطانة. هذا النزوح أدى إلى إزالة ما يقارب 40 مليون شجرة. التعدي طال المحميات الطبيعية، قرابة 7 محميات طبيعية تدخل فيها الإنسان، أدت إلى تدمير هذه المناطق. فقدنا نتيجة لها، فقدنا مساحات زراعية، مساحات رعوية داخل المحميات. التنوع الحيوي الكبير اللي كان بيتماس به والسودان بتتماس به المنطقة بتاع سهول البطانة، كله ده كان نتيجة لتعدي الإنسان أو الإشكال. الحروب أدت إلى تجمع هذه المجموعات السكانية، أزالوا الأشجار للاحتطاب لبناء المساكن المؤقتة. ده تترتب عليه تردي الوضع البيئي، والأساسا في استعداد نتيجة للتغيرات المناخية. ده الوضع الآن في السودان اللي هي الصراع حول الأرض، سواء كان من داخل السودانيين نتيجة صراع حول مساحات رعوية، مساحات زراعية، تحول نشاط إلى نشاط آخر، أيضا نتيجة للهجرات من دول الجوار. في السودان لدينا أول الجهة المسؤولة عن استخدامات الأراضي اللي هي مفوضية الأراضي، ممثلة الآن المفوض الأمين العام
جاءت فكرة المفوضية القومية للأراضي بجمهورية السودان لإرساء قواعد الحوكمة السيادية على الموارد الأرضية من خلال المداولات التي سبقت اتفاقية نيفاشا للسلام الموقع بين الحكومة السودانية والحركة الشعبية لتحرير السودان بجمهورية جنوب السودان الشقيقة، وتم تضمينها بالاتفاقية كما تم النص عليها في دستور جمهورية السودان الانتقالي للعام 2005. ثم صدر قانون المفوضية القومية للأراضي جمهورية السودان لسنة 2009، ثم القرار الجمهوري رقم 847 لسنة 2018 الخاص بإنشاء المفوضية القومية للأراضي. وبعد المتغيرات السياسية التي أحدثتها ثورة 19 ديسمبر المجيدة وإلغاء دستور السودان الانتقالي لسنة 2005، أبغت الوثيقة الدستورية لسنة 2019 على المفوضية القومية للأراضي كواحدة من المفوضيات المستغلة التي تنشأ بواسطة مجلس الوزراء. كذلك أشارت اتفاقية السلام بجوبا 2020 لمهام المفوضية باعتبارها الآلية الأهم المتعلقة بالأراضي وإزالة التعارضات بين الأجهزة المعنية باستخدامات الأراضي المتعددة. التحديات التي تواجه المفوضية القومية للأراضي: الأراضي بها حواكير، بجمهورية السودان بها حواكير للقبائل وهي حدود تاريخية بالنسبة لهم، وفي أعرافهم أن الأرض ملكية للقبائل والأفراد للزراعة والرعي، علما بأن الأراضي على الشريط النيلي مسجلة وباقي الأراضي مشاعة، ومع تزايد عدد السكان والهجرات والجفاف نتجت مشاكل وصراعات حول الأراضي في هذه المناطق وتسببت بكثير من الحروب بين القبائل. ونسبة لحوجة السودان للتعامل مع هذه المسائل يحتاج السودان إلى دعم مادي وفني من الشركاء في هذا الصدد. التراخيص أيضا غير المدروسة التي منحت لاستخدام الأرض مما يتطلب إعداد لائحة لتوفيق الأوضاع بمفهوم لا ضرر ولا ضرار. عدم وجود حرم آمن بين المناطق الصناعية والمناطق السكنية. التغيير في نمط استخدام الأرض من زراعية إلى سكنية. المشاكل الحدودية مع الدول المجاورة. ضعف التكامل المؤسسي مع الشركاء الوطنيين بالقطاعين العام والخاص، وانعدامها مع النظراء الإقليميين في جميع أنحاء العالم، ونتج عن ذلك قصور في بناء شراكات ذكية متكافئة. خطوات مقترحة لمعالجة تلك التحديات: إنشاء مصفوفة مرجعية إرشادية للإدارة السيادية الشاملة في الرصد والمتابعة بسبب القصور في الأرشفة الرقمية للمعلومات، حتى يكون هناك القدرة على الرصد الميداني والتقييم الدوري لكفاءة الأداء الإداري على الموارد الأرضية السيادية. الدعم اللوجستي وتخصيص اعتمادات مالية سنوية ملموسة أو ميزانيات إضافية من الشركاء والمانحين. إرساء قواعد للتأهيل والتطوير وتشمل التأهيل المعرفي في المعلومات والمعلوماتية بتعزيز القدرات على الأرشفة الرقمية بالتكامل المؤسسي للشركاء في الإدارة السيادية على الموارد الأرضية. أهمية الممارسات الزراعية الجيدة وفقا للضوابط الصارمة التي أقرتها منظمة التجارة العالمية لضمان الإنتاج الغذائي الآمن بجانب بروتوكول التعدين الأخضر. التشريعات الوطنية الصارمة المنبثقة من المعاهدات والاتفاقيات الأممية والإقليمية التي تطبع إيقاع إدارة الحوكمة السيادية الشاملة على الموارد الأرضية. جمع وتوثيق أفضل الممارسات في مجال حيازة الأرض حتى نوفر ضمان لحقوق المرأة والرجل في الأرض. وضع إطار تنظيمي ملائم وشفاف لاستثمارات القطاعين الخاص والعام في الأراضي والموارد الطبيعية والصناعية القائمة على الموارد التي تلتزم بمبادئ المسؤولية الاجتماعية للشركات القائمة. بناء قدرات بحثية فعالة تشمل تدريب الموظفين والاستفادة من أموال البحوث والاطلاع على الخبرات الدولية والإقليمية ودعم مشاريع البحوث الجامعية والدراسات العليا في مختلف المجالات. دعم هياكل الحكم المحلي وبناء قدراتها بما في ذلك سلطة للشيوخ والعمد وزعماء القبائل في دورهم كمدراء محليين للأراضي ولهم دور في حل النزاعات. رسم خريطة وتوثيق أفضل الممارسات التي تنص على ضمان حقوق المرأة والرجل في الأراضي واستخلاص الدروس للاسترشاد بها في وضع السياسات والإدارة التنظيمي. وضع وتنفيذ استراتيجية وطنية تشاركية وشاملة ومراعية للنزاعات من أجل التكيف مع تغير المناخ. وضع خطة وطنية لاستخدام الأراضي تدعمها آليات إنفاذ القانون، وينبغي أن تستمد خريطة استخدام الأراضي إلى معارف علمية منفصلة. لكل ما سبق نأمل أن نجد منكم كل الدعم الفني واللوجستي للنهوض بالمفوضية القومية للأراضي بجمهورية السودان حتى تطلع بدورها الهام تجاه الأرض والدولة والمواطنين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا باشمهندس خالد لهذا العرض اللي يوضح فيه التحديات وإمكانية الحلول لمشكلات الصراع والأرض في السودان. الآن عرض بيان وإجازة مخرجات المؤتمر الإقليمي حول الأرض والنزاع يقدم المدير الإقليمي ممثل دولة أثيوبيا. Uganda was she said to me in Ethiopia. She said to me Ethiopia. Yes. Oh. The last but طيب أخيرا مع دولة سوري معلش يعني الدولة المضيفة كلمة يوغندا الآن بمثل الحكومة اليوغندية.
Thank you very much, Her Excellence, the Chairperson, Dr. Mona Ali, Your Excellencies, the Honorable Ministers from IGAD member states, representatives of development partners, government officials from IGAD member states, IGAD Secretariat, members of the press, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I take the opportunity to thank you for the hectic discussions you've been holding and the deliberations you have reached since the 24th of October 2022. The recommendations from the experience and expertise is critical in mainstreaming and adopting solutions to the various issues identified regarding land and conflicts affecting the IGAD member states. Today, as a team of ministers responsible for land from IGAD countries, we are expected to approve the regional agenda on land conflicts, peace, security, sustainable development, gender equality, and climate change, constituting the issues identified during the last 4 days. The ministerial meeting has been preceded to a high-level regional conference on land and conflict in East and the Horn of Africa. That is between the 24th to 26th October 2022. The conference was officially opened by Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, who represented His Excellency, the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The conference outcomes on the main theme revolved around 4 major themes, which include prioritizing and promoting responsible conflict, sensitive and inclusive land and natural justice governance, and improving access to all. 2, making the link between the fair and sustainable allocation and use land and natural resources and peace and security in the Horn of Africa. 3, securing local land rights to support climate change, adaptation, and sustainable food systems. 4, realizing women's and girls' equal rights to land. As government of Uganda, we are committed to implementing the resolutions and recommendations, specifically improving policy and legal framework on land management, 2, environmental protection, then addressing cross-boundary and borderland disputes, including community disputes. Improving access to land justice, especially for the vulnerable. Then use of modern technology to improve land governance, because we know that modern technologies can help us to predict calamities, but also to mark boundaries and get coordinates for the different pieces of land, get projections on crop yields, but also early warnings in one way or another. We are going also to continue improving on women's land rights and rights of youth and other vulnerable persons. We shall ensure land tenure security is achieved through addressing the multiple interests on the land, but also giving out titles to groups, but also individuals and households. We shall emphasize land use plan and fiscal planning, being mindful of urbanization, the population growth in most of our countries. We are also looking at intensifying information, education, and communication of the communities to enable them appreciate and understand their land rights. We are intensifying, highlighting the dangers of land fragmentation to most of the communities. Digitization process is continuing. We want all our records to be taken online. It will be one way of having a clean registry that will help us manage land affairs in the country. We are going to work in close partnership with all member states and IGAD Secretariat in the implementation of the resolutions. And the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is going to spearhead the process. On behalf of Government of Uganda, I want to specifically thank IGAD, IDLO, and other partners for supporting the move towards resolving land conflicts in the region. I thank you once again, and I remind those of you who are part of the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development that our meeting will still be on in November, come 14th to 22nd here in Uganda. And when we talk about resources, of course, definitely land is one of them. So please don't get tired to be part of these meetings as we set the agenda, but also plan for the region. I once again thank you very much. Shukran, merci beaucoup, asante sana, mwebale nnyo. God bless you.
شكرا الوزيرة اليوغندية ومعذرة كنا حرمنا الجلسة من هذه الكلمة الرائعة اللي تضمنت كثير من الإشكالات اللي بيتعرض لها القرن الأفريقي وليس فقط جمهورية يوغندا، أيضا الحلول اللي اتوضعت وكيف إشراك أصحاب المصلحة المجموعات المحلية. شكرا. الآن نأمن أولاً الكلمات كلها اللي تقدمت من قبل الوزراء وممثلي الحكومات، أمنت على مشكلة الصراع. الحلول كيف بتكون بتأتى من خلال وضع استراتيجية، أو الحلول تأتي من ليس فقط من الحكومة إنما من خلال الشركاء المنظمات أصحاب المصلحة المختلفين. الإشكال البيئي كبير جدا في القارة الأفريقية أدى إلى الصراعات المختلفة، التحديات كبيرة، كثير من هذه التحديات مشتركة بين كل دول الإيجاد. لذلك بنأمن أو هنالك ضرورة على تبادل المعرفة، نقل الخبرات، حتى يكون في تركيز على الحلول. يعني الدول الإيجاد تكون فيها حالة بتاعة تعاون، حالة بتاعة النقل للمعرفة، تبادل الخبرات، حتى إنه نخرج بدولنا من هذا الإشكال ونلتفت إلى التنمية المستدامة. الآن ننتقل إلى عرض تقرير أو عرض بيان وإجازة مخرجات المؤتمر الإقليمي يقدمها المدير الإقليمي اللي هو ممثل دولة أثيوبيا.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I will read the communique of the sectoral ministers meeting on the transformative agenda on land, climate change, and conflict in the IGAD region. Hello, Secretariat, please distribute the communique to all ministers. Hello, Esther. The communique should be distributed. Yeah, okay, thank you. So I will read the communique, the joint communique of the sectoral ministers meeting on the transformative agenda on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa, 28 October 2022, Kampala, Republic of Uganda. We, the ministers responsible for land, environment, and justice from the IGAD member states, namely Republic of Djibouti, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Republic of Kenya, Federal Republic of Somalia, Republic of South Sudan, Republic of Sudan, and Republic of Uganda, meeting this 28th October 2022 in Kampala, Uganda, at SPEC Resort Munyonyo to discuss and agree on a shared regional agenda on land use and management transformation and conflict management with a set of recommendations a way forward. The meeting also being attended by representatives of international and regional organizations involving in the rule of law, access to finance, and management of land conflict, notably the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, supporting pastoralism and agriculture in recurrent and protracted crisis, SPARC, and International Land Coalition, ILC. The ministerial meeting having been preceded by a high-level regional conference on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa between 24 to 26 October 2022, which included a session of the Chief Justice of IGAD Region held on 25 October 2022. Recalling the international conventions, agreements, and non-binding commitments that the IGAD member states have ratified or committed to, including but not limited to the Agenda 2063, the Agenda 2030, the EU Declaration on Land Issues and Challenges in Africa, the Maputo Protocol, the Paris Agreement, the voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure. Recognizant of the fact that rangelands in the region and in member states are multifunctional and involve a diverse range of users and economic activities. Appreciating the need to ensure that there is appropriate balancing rights of communities, individuals, and legitimate state responsibilities of facilitating investments and development, including utilization of land for pastoralist and agro-pastoralist purposes. Acknowledging the fact that when women and vulnerable groups are often only perceived as victims of land and natural resources-based conflicts and needs to be recognized as having agency and capable of leadership and participation in land governance in all contexts. Aware that climate change, which manifests itself through short rains, droughts, excessive flooding, and unpredictable weather patterns, is a deeply destabilizing factor that causes disruption of livelihoods, exacerbates inequalities, and fosters conflict and insecurity. Conscious that the issue of boundaries and overlapping with identities have defined and enhanced conflicts, both within member states but also in transboundary conflicts. Mindful that member states are affected by conflict and the need to deter and stop people and institutions that may benefit from such conflicts. Taking into account that there are different levels of planning, responses, and actors to the holding, use, and management of land, and the need to recognize such levels while crafting appropriate responses. Mindful that communities at the local level should occupy the driving seat in the shaping and crafting of policies and laws that affect their way of life. Acknowledging that the plurality of legal systems to address land and conflict issues and the lack of coherence among these systems leads to inefficiency and sometimes is a driving factor in conflicts related to land and natural resources. Reaffirming that developed countries should take the lead in providing financial assistance to countries that are less endowed and more vulnerable, while for the first time also encouraging voluntary contributions by other parties. Recalling that member states in their NDCs countries communicate actions they will take to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions in order to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. Countries also communicate in the NDCs action they will take to build resilience to adapt to the impact of rising temperatures. Taking note that information and capacity gaps at all levels directly or indirectly contribute to persistence and recurrence of conflict. Appreciating the continued support of the governments of Sweden and Switzerland to the development work of IGAD on natural resources governance, gender equality, conflict management, and peace and security. Acknowledging the contribution of the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, supporting pastoralism and agriculture in recurrent and protracted crisis, SPARC, and International Land Coalition, ILC, in organizing the high-level conference on land and conflict in the East and the Horn of Africa. Appreciating the government of the Republic of Uganda for hosting the high-level conference on land conflict in the Horn of Africa. Based on the report of the high-level regional conference on land and conflict in the East and Horn of Africa, and the recommendations outlined in herewith, as well as the validated national assessments on land and conflict in the IGAD region, we have agreed to this transformative agenda, which aims to promote access to justice, reduce conflict, promote climate change, mitigation and adoption, secure land rights, promote gender equality, and promotes the sustainable development of the East and Horn of Africa through the following actions. One, on the land use and management. A, review and reform existing institutions on land governance and administration, including by identifying the coordination mechanism between the different government institutions and levels of government on matters related to land governance, including the roles of local and community-based governance structures. B, review existing national legal and policy frameworks on land use, holding, management to secure land rights, protect the rights of women, the youth, and vulnerable social groups that are affected in land use management and optimum use of land. C, develop comprehensive policies and action plans on land use and management in each of the member states, taking into account their interaction with food security, climate change, and natural resource management. D, promote the application of the existing guideline principles of large-scale land-based investments, issues by AU, African Development Bank, and Economic Commission for Africa. E, review and develop national policies on large-scale land-based investment, building on the best practices recorded in various IGAD countries and in the broader region. F, support policy reforms to advance fair, equitable participation in community-based land and natural resource management processes. G, share and adopt best practices from other member states that have led to better use and management of land. H, regularly collect, update, and disseminate disaggregated data information on land use patterns, land values, traditional land users and rights, title holders, land leases, and land compensation, including through improved land record and documentation, procedures, and recognition of customary land tenures. I develop and adopt technologies that can support inclusion and involvement in land use management. Second, on conflict prevention and access to justice. Strengthen IGAD's work on peace and security processes to address outstanding land and resource-based conflicts, including transboundary, transnational conflicts. B, strengthens IGAD's regional response to addressing the emerging concerns related to war economies within and among its member states. 3, encourage the use of gender-sensitive early warning, conflict analysis, and response mechanisms, and other tools such as the IGAD warn to prevent and manage conflict in land and natural resources-based conflicts. D, take steps to ensure coherence and harmonious coexistence of the multiple systems of administration of land justice and resolution of disputes on matters of land natural resources. Specifically, member states will take steps to ensure the adoption of indigenous and traditional norms in the prevention and management of disputes. A, resolve and disentangle the multiple overlapping and conflicting interests and rights on the formal and informal land tenure system. F, entrench alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, such as mediation, negotiation, into the formal legal system while resolving disputes. G, support and strengthen alternative justice systems, including traditional dispute resolution mechanisms, ensuring that women and youth rights are understood, discriminatory practices outlawed, and forbidding forum shopping between alternative justice system and the formal systems, as well as gender balance in specialized courts. H, improve the participation of both women and youth in alternative justice system, not only as justice seekers, but also as justice providers at all levels. I seek to establish specialized courts to handle disputes on environment, land use, and management, and provide adequate gender-balanced staffing and resources to ensure the effective operationalization of the courts. J, ensure the entrenchment in law of legal aid and support the provision of legal aid. Third, on capacity development and knowledge management. Build the capacity of stakeholders, including private sector, civil society, women, youth, persons with disabilities, minority communities, and other vulnerable groups in areas such as climate change, climate finance, transparency, and accountability. B, develop and implement national awareness plans on gender, intergenerational responsiveness, and engagement strategies on land use, management, and conflict. C, build the capacity and explore linkage between formal and informal justice sector actors to resolve the land disputes, apply ADR mechanisms, and protect the land rights of women. D, build and strengthen the capacity of institutions, including local governments and state departments, in areas such as climate change, climate finance, monitoring, and reporting. Integrate climate change, protection of environment, peace, development in the education system and development plans. F, promote research and ensure the development, dissemination, and access to information for members of the public on issues relating to land governance, access to justice, and other relevant themes for empowerment of citizens through knowledge. Fourth, on women's effective and meaningful participation in land governance, dispute resolution. Remove discriminatory legal, including customary law, and policy and implementation blockages that prevent women from ownership, use, and management of land and natural resources. B, ensure cross-sectoral consultation for issues related to the intersection between gender and vulnerability, land, environment, food security, climate, infrastructure, peace, and justice. C, strengthens the capacity of women to engage in advocacy and policy-making activities. D, promotes the access of women to credit, livelihoods, and other economic resources. E, ensure access to justice for women, including the provision of legal aid to women justice seekers, notably through community-level organizations. F, ensure meaningful participation and leadership of women, especially women locally leaders, to engage in policy-making at all levels. Fifth, on climate change and natural resource management. Support the development and transfer of inclusive, accessible, and affordable technologies that help to adapt to climate change, such as stress-tolerant crops, irrigation, and early warning systems. B, promote climate justice. C, promote the contextual diversification of livelihoods among households. D, encourage agronomic practices such as agroforestry and conservation agriculture. E, support peace and vector surveillance and management. F, each member state to develop a strategy for incorporating and appropriating indigenous knowledge and strategies in climate change, natural resources management to mitigate and adapt to the adverse effects of climate change. 6, on regional efforts and integration. Redouble the efforts in the implementation of the protocol on transhumance and the protocol on free movement of persons and their respective implementation roadmaps. B, encourage the sustainable and equitable use and management of transboundary resources as sources of peace and unity among the member states. Follow up on the enforcement of regional court decisions in land-related conflicts. D, encourage support, both technical and financial, for implementation of the Horn of Africa initiative, including through partnership with international and regional organizations and civil society groups to enable accountability and transparency in land governance and women's rights to land. E, supports the establishment of regional oversight mechanisms to ensure that Member countries adopt best land governance practice in the region to protect its land. F. Supports the member states who are affected by conflict which has hampered their economies, thereby rendering their populations poor and landless. Seventh, adopt, endorse, and remains of the accompanying agenda for action on gender-responsive land use and management, climate change, and conflict transformation. We, the governments from the IGAD region, seek to advance this shared agenda at national and at cross-border levels under the overall coordination of IGAD Secretariat and working alongside IDLO and all our partners, including SPARC, ILC, all relevant resource and technical partners, United Nations system, international and regional organizations, and non-governmental organizations to transform the use and management of land, conflict prevention, and resolution in the East and Horn of Africa. We call on the member states in the developed world to fulfill their pledge to climate financing, taking cognizance of the centrality of this to sustaining political and economic engagement in COP26 and beyond, informed by local realities of the IGAD region that is based set by climate extremes and its impact on population and ecosystems. We call for governments of the member states to commit funds, technical expertise, and political will in conjunction with international development partners to support the operationalization of this transformative agenda. Done in Kampala, Republic of Uganda on 28 October 2022. Thank you very much, Chair.
شكرا للعرض. الآن السكرتارية تقديم الوثائق للتوقيع من قبل الوزراء.
Eric.
السادة الوزراء أي تعليق على الإعلان؟ أي مداخلة؟ From where? Djibouti?
Yes, the Republic of Djibouti, the minister, and their people. So the Republic of Djibouti with the directors to escort the minister.
ممثل الحكومة الجيبوتية يتفضل للتوقيع.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Chairperson. I want to thank the ministers for our wonderful document. It has captured most of the issues which we are facing as a region, but my comment is only on two small issues. One, going through the document, I've realized that we haven't said anything on the youth. Remember, youth constitute almost 60 or 70% of our population. And when we speak about land, then they definitely have to be included in the responsible management of this resource, which is land. Then I also wanted honorable ministers, if we can include
أو إضافة.
the translation.
Any comment?
Yes.
No? لتحقيق هذا الإعلان على أرض الواقع الأمر بيتطلب عمل من قبل دول الإيجاد، عمل مشترك، التزام دولة دون الأخرى، ما حيحقق أي أغراض لأنه المناطق أغلبها حدود مفتوحة، الصراعات منقولة. الحلول لا بد أن تأتي مجتمعة، يعني الدول مجتمعة تحقق هذه، ما دولة تلتزم والأخرى لا. ولا نضع هذا الإعلان في الرف، لا بد من تنزيله على أرض الواقع. يعني ما نعتبر اجتماع وراء اجتماع، مؤتمر وراء آخر دون جني الثمار. لا بد من تفعيل كل ما يأتي في مؤتمرات الإيجاد. ما دايرين بس يكون مجرد اجتماع شغل السكرتارية انتقلنا من موسم إلى آخر، اجتماع وراء آخر دون تحقيق أي فائدة. نريد تنزيل هذا العمل، هذه المؤتمرات، هذه الورش إلى أرض الواقع حتى نخرج بمنطقة الإيجاد أو دول الإيجاد من المشاكل الموجودة فيها، سواء كان صراعات، إشكالات بيئية، حتى نلتفت إلى التنمية المستدامة. الأمر بيتطلب العمل الجاد من قبل دول الإيجاد. لا بد من تفعيل هذه الوثائق، هذا الإعلان كل ما يأتي. يعني في هذا العام عديد من المؤتمرات تمت، العديد من الورش تمت. دارين ننظر إلى ما يحقق، وليس فقط هنالك مؤتمر للإيجاد في جيبوتي، في أثيوبيا، في يوغندا، دون أن يكون هنالك تفعيل لما يأتي. إحنا عايزين تحقيق أو تنفيذ العمل، لا ما فقط. يعني بصراحة في كثير من الأحيان ما بنلقى أي تنفيذ للقرارات اللي بتطلع من مؤتمرات الإيجاد. ما في تنفيذ، ما في متابعة. عايزين متابعة حتى إنه يحس بها مواطن دول الإيجاد. دي كلها مشاكل بتمس المجتمعات المحلية. نريد تنفيذ وليس أقوال فقط ومؤتمرات وفود ذاهبة وفود آتية. يعني عايزين تحقيق لهذه أو تنفيذ لكل ما يأتي من مقررات في الورش في الاجتماعات. طيب الآن ممثل جمهورية جيبوتي، إذا ما كان في أي تعليق من قبل الوزراء، ممثل دولة جيبوتي للتوقيع. تفضل. ممثل دولة إثيوبيا، ممثل دولة إثيوبيا. للتوقيع على الوثيقة. ممثلة الحكومة الكينية. الآن دور جمهورية صوماليا. تفضل السيد الوزير. الآن دور جمهورية السودان للتوقيع على هذا الإعلان. جمهورية جنوب السودان. تفضل سيد الوزير. جمهورية جنوب السودان. دور جمهورية السودان للتوقيع على هذا الإعلان، وبنتمنى إنه يعني ما ننتقل من مرحلة توقيع على أقوال إلى التنفيذ بأفعال. يوغندا. الآن جمهورية يوغندا للتوقيع. بتوقيع جمهورية يوغندا ننتقل من مرحلة الأقوال إلى التنفيذ إن شاء الله. طيب الآن أبت سكرتارية الإيجاد أن تكرم الوزراء اللي حضروا هذا الاجتماع ووقعوا على
We would like to be guided.
Excellency,
Hello?
Excellencies, uh,
Excuse me.
we are honored, deeply honored and greatly honored for your signature of our communique. And Madam Chairperson, we are going to do practical things on the ground, not hold boardroom meetings. The land government program commits to doing that and working with our member states to make change happen in reality. At this juncture, we would like to appreciate you very much as our leaders, both in terms of politics, but also for our ministries, which work tirelessly to create change. We have you, our excellencies, and we have the honor as the secretariat to present this to you. I'll ask my director, Mr. Daherami, and director and Mr. Wira Anthony, accompanied by the head of mission, Madam Lucy Daxbaka, we request the Honorable Representative of the Minister of Budget from Djibouti to come forward and receive. Can you people move? Can you move forward? Honorable Minister from the Ministry of Agriculture, with the delegation from Ethiopia, thank you, Ethiopia. Honorable Ministers from the Republic of Somalia, the Federal Republic of Somalia, the delegation Yes, this one. Honorable ministers from the Republic of South Sudan and the delegations from the Republic of South Sudan, for Uganda.
Some remaining? Keep speaking slowly in the microphone for people here. They want to know what's going on. So this one, it's okay.
The delegates from the Republic of South Sudan, okay. Honorable Minister and Chair of IGAD, with the delegation of the Republic of Sudan. They are finished. And the delegation from the Republic of Uganda. Yes, my minister. I insist. Now I can declare where I come from. Pressure, pressure. We made 100, so we made 100 pieces, so I was sure it's enough. I'm kindly requesting for representation of the IGAD staff to stand behind the ministers and take the picture. As they sit there. Representation. Then after that, we'll take a group photo with all the delegates outside as we go for lunch. A representation.
Where are we taking the pictures from?
Here.